Duran Premium Cigars, one of the fastest-growing boutique cigar companies, provides smokers a portal into the old Cuban tradition of the perfect balance and the lost art of progressive flavor construction. Roberto Pelayo Duran began his career in tobacco over 2 decades ago in Havana, where his reputation grew within Cuban circles. The creation of Duran Premium Cigars has given Roberto the platform to introduce a series of cigars that offer the quality and construction that he perfected while in Cuba. Brands include the ultra-premium Roberto P. Duran signature line, Azan, Nea, and Baracoa. Duran uses a seed to humidor approach, as all of their tobacco is grown in their farms and rolled in their factory in Esteli, Nicaragua. Rollers have been carefully chosen to carry out Roberto's precise method to ensure progressive flavor in each cigar. Duran Premium Cigars invites you to make their premium your standard.
Welcome back to the Stogie Geek Show. I am your host this week, Joe Hozempa. To my right is Joe D.
How you doing?
Say hi.
Welcome back.
If you're just tuning in to the Stogie Geeks, last segment we were talking about rums and pairing rums. Just to let you know that we're going to continue the tradition with the Thomas II single barrel aged rum here. We had it poured over ice. There is a difference when you pour some rum over ice and some rums not over ice over there. However, this is one of those rums I think works either way. Want some more? A little bit? There you go, right?
Good.
So today is Joe D's birthday. So if he wants to talk about his age, he is more certainly more welcome to.
38, not 45, despite the hairline. Take it easy.
All right. So first and foremost, Joe D, happy birthday.
Cheers, old boy. Thank you.
You get to spend. I'm hoping my birthday. I didn't go through the calendar. I'm hoping.
See if it's on a Monday? Yeah.
If my birthday's on a Monday, I'm in like Flynn, right?
We have to go off schedule. If it's random Wednesday or something.
Right. But you know, and my birthday's in the cold. It's in January.
Shame.
You know, It's in January, but it's just further enough away from the holidays where I don't get chinched out on gifts as a little kid. You know,
That's
as
true.
opposed to my cousin Mike, he was December 23rd, and you want to talk about like just getting a bum deal as a kid. Anyway, right?
It's my son, December 30th.
No, oh really?
Old guy, yeah.
So you gotta, you know,
I'll have to step it up for him.
give him the leftover gifts and whatnot, right? So we are pairing right now the Thomas II with the Potagus, right? The rum's kicking in.
Yep.
The Potagus Heritage Robusto, right? And
Tasty cigar. First time I'm having it, and one particular flavor's at the forefront for me. I'm getting, I believe it's a nuttiness. This nuttiness that I'm getting. It was able to work its way and power its way through the rum as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have a Connecticut broadleaf binder in 3 fillers. You have Dominican, Honduran, and Mexican San Andreas. So
Partial to San Andreas.
You know, I think now you should maybe settle into the cigar with this segment because we're only going to be having one rum sampling, right there. And I think that the Thomas II neat will totally bring it out.
Nice.
You know, it'll totally bring it out.
There we go.
In regards to that, and one of the things I want to talk about over on the Stogie Geek segment this week, considering that it is Joe D's birthday, is birthday cigars. I mean, you know, as we get older, and, you know, some of us have life and kids and all that type stuff, well, basically, you know, sometimes the birthdays get blended in and whatnot. But, again, when you have a cigar and you sit back, what do you think of birthday cigars? And then I also wanted to combine the segment because I think maybe the birthday cigars kind of tailors in a little bit with celebratory cigars. Mm-hmm. And looking back on the Stogie Geeks episodes, we just did a segment on celebratory cigars.
Right.
So to entertain the listeners, I didn't want to spend too much time on this, but I definitely want to squeeze this in, right, there's a super fight that is scheduled, okay? And for those of you who might follow boxing or might follow the rich tradition of boxing, or those of you who might follow mixed martial arts or MMA.
Yes.
And the former, and I do say former, rich tradition of mixed martial arts, we are going to have a combined event. It's scheduled for August 26th. It is Conor McGregor, UFC. I'm sure most of our Stogie Geeks listeners know who he is. And then we have Floyd Mayweather boxer with the 49-0 record.
Right.
There too. And I wanted to spend some time on this because we are going to do a Stogie Geek segment on boxing and MMA. We're just trying to get all of the characters that are going to be involved because that's going to be a round table with some people who have been
live fighters.
Well, yeah, we're gonna be getting some live fighters. We're trying to get some local fighters. We're trying to schedule that, and then also I want to talk about it. We're gonna be getting a fight promoter in here to talk about the other side of the game. But I think
the game within the game.
But I think it's your birthday, and you are a boxing and MMA fan.
I am.
And you did give me permission to talk about this, so I think that we should combine the two because I remember I have mixed feelings about the topic of your birthday and fights. Okay, because the first thing that comes to my mind as it's Joe D's birthday and fights is I remember going to fights as either a participant and not having cigars because I was a participant.
Yep.
But I remember as I got older, going to fights and being a spectator and being able to have a cigar while you're watching a fight, right? So, I mean...
Just before my time. I wish I was in the cigar game at that time.
There was a day, right? There was a day when you went to fights and local retail shops sold cigars at fights.
Beautiful thing.
And there was a day.
What a perfect marriage of the two.
I'll tell you. I could sit here for 3 hours telling you stories, especially the local talent. But let's kind of peel back everything and talk about. I think we can have a mixed discussion about that and make it really celebratory for your birthday.
For me, it was the CES local promotion. Going to Roads on the Patuxent here before it moved on to Twin River. And
for those of you who are outside of Rhode Island and Worcester and Connecticut and don't know what CES is, CES stands for Classic Entertainment and Sports. You can go to CES Boxing or CES MMA because they do both now. But I remember there was a time when they only did boxing.
Right.
And then you have, those.
That's what I was initially raised on before I get into,
the boxing.
Super fan of the MMA. The boxing, all the local fights. It was my brother, my old man, myself, maybe uncles and cousins. It was just a great night out. Local talent.
Yep.
Phenomenal boxing. It was an event. It was an absolute event.
It was an event. I remember when businesses I was involved in sponsored some of the CES fights.
Right.
And I would take my dad, and my dad is like Fonseca only. Can't handle anything over a Fonseca. You know what I mean?
I feel specifically Rhode Island. It's a rite of passage as a youth almost.
And I remember taking my dad to a boxing event and saying, hey, well, this company I represent is going to be sponsoring either the ring cards or whatever it is that they did. And I remember taking my dad, and I remember, asking the cigar retailer, you bring a Fonsecas? And they're like, no.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're like, no, we're going to do some other mild Connecticut.
Right.
And I remember, taking a Fonseca for my dad. Because my dad would be one of those people who would, there's no Fonsecas there? What are these guys? Don't know what they're doing, right?
Yep.
It's military, right? So, it's one of those things where, I remember that there is a tradition. And then now, fast forward, we have a MMA superstar. And I do want to use the word superstar. I know that on other shows, people throw out super fights, either boxing podcast or any other cigar podcast or whatever. They throw out the word super fights or they throw out the word superstars and whatnot. But you got to look. What I think is interesting about this opportunity is you have two people who are the master of their craft.
They've absolutely been able to back up everything that their mouth is ran with, and they've achieved the absolute pinnacle of the sport. So this is a great situation. Match the two. I feel boxing has more to lose in this situation. Where are you at with that?
I feel like. Let me tell you something. Just for those of you scoring at home, zero show prep on the birthday segment. The rum, we spent most of the time on the rum segment, so there's zero prep here.
It's just off the cuff.
But let me tell you something.
Two fans talking.
I feel when you're talking about stuff, we take away the obvious and get to the meat and potatoes. Right? The meat and potatoes of the fight. Floyd Mayweather, 49-0, phenomenal record.
Defensive specialist.
Can't
overlook that.
Not a fan. Full disclosure, not a fan.
Right. Personal life or actual
No,
boxing skills?
I'm not a fan when a fighter gets away from tradition. Okay, as someone who has boxed in college and someone who has participated in the sport of both boxing and MMA, more boxing. MMA was just complete recreational. Because I do believe that age-wise, MMA prolongs the career of the boxer, the Western boxing. Okay. But that's another argument from another standpoint.
Right.
But when you get like your Floyd Mayweather, 49-0, this isn't going to be a sanctioned fight. Boxing has more to lose because if he beats Conor, see, I think both of them. My official stance. I have so many mixed feelings on this. So if it comes out jumbled, I'm jumbled to begin with, and this is going to come out really jumbled. So you might have to fast forward and rewind this podcast a couple of times to really get my thought through, right? I think boxing in general has more to lose in regards to this, but I think Floyd, in his positioning, of the position that he put himself in, of tainting, dare I say tainting, that 49-0 record. Now, a lot of people are saying, okay, on the opposite, that's the obvious. He's got a 49-year-old record, a 49-0 record, phenomenal fighter, defensive, best in the game defensively.
You can't possibly lose it. His craft to this Neanderthal.
Great
cigar, moderate term.
Now we get to the meat and potatoes of the discussion. We have Conor, right? Relatively new on the scene from a UFC perspective.
Yep.
Gone through a little story of rags to riches. We all know the story. They're pretty much all the same, right? And then all of a sudden becomes this MMA superstar. So I'm concerned for a couple of things. I'm concerned about...
Much younger? Does that factor in at all?
Yeah, no. I mean, it depends on shape. I mean, age now is not as big as an issue.
Yeah, it's not George Foreman in his 50s. This is
as
Mayweather
it is.
still peak condition.
Mayweather is an amazing and I don't want to take away anything from each other, and I don't want this to get into like a sports version of a podcast. But I do think that you are not going to be able to go into any cigar shop and not have this conversation, considering the fight's 68 days away.
Every shop I've been in the last week or so, that's...
Oh, it's topic of conversation. I mean, it's either presidential, FDA, by the way, everything that with the Cuban travel, gone.
Oh, yeah.
But
taking a backseat. Yep.
You can still do cigars. Provocative. That might be another segment coming soon.
Right.
Because I think that is real. If that's not a glimmer of hope for the FDA, there. But anyway, moving on, right? I think that Floyd has a lot more to lose in this regards, but I do think that Conor is no slouch as well. So it's your birthday, so we can get as deep as you want on this conversation, or we can be as vague as you want.
For boxing, I was always a big Arturo Gatti fan.
Yep.
Arturo Gatti and Chris Bird, classic counterpuncher, lefty. As they always say, styles make fights. McGregor is the ultimate aggressor. Mayweather, the classic counterpuncher. He's going to sit back. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun TV. They're going to make out like bandits. We're going to pay through the nose, unless you watch it at a prime location somewhere.
Sure.
It just fuels the age-long debate, and the MMA game. Yeah, I was a boxing fan first. Completely disappointed by I felt the matchups that the fans actually wanted to see weren't there. MMA is not going away. It's here. It's alive and well. The matchups are great. I feel this might be boxing's last chance to get over the hump. And they Mayweather, boxing as a whole, certainly stands to lose more, but they can absolutely gain a ton of respect, and I feel put boxing back on the map where it belongs, right in that top echelon of sporting events. Events is where it's at.
So you're all for this event?
I'm all for it. I feel my personal beliefs about Mayweather, put that aside. Just the event itself. I'm all about large events, sporting events. You can't beat it. Whatever facet. Hockey, golf. Combat sports. So, yeah, it's going to be enjoyable.
So tailoring this to Stogie Geek show, what's the buzz around all the local cigar shops? Are they all for it too?
Absolutely all for it. And, Sports Talk Radio, everything has Mayweather by a landslide. I think, for betting terms, some good money with McGregor.
It's 400.
Anything could happen.
It's 400 to 1.
Anybody
as we
can
speak.
Anybody. There you go.
Yep.
Any given night, any given Sunday, anybody can get hit with that one shot. The longer the fight goes, I feel it plays into Mayweather for sure. That's his forte. That's his realm. He wouldn't stand 2 seconds in the MMA world. However, McGregor's making a huge step, and he's made his money. Title champion in 2 different weight classes. There's not much more for this guy to do, even at a young point in his career. He's only 3-4 years in, but this is what the fans want. So I feel the boxing fans, unfortunately, they have to reach outside of the boxing realm to get what they want. The super fights, right? There's nothing left in the boxing world to offer Mayweather. Other fighters, absolutely, but this is it for him.
Okay.
Cap off his career. What do you stand?
I completely disagree with everything you've said.
Okay.
Every single thing you said. I think number one, the sport should be separate. I think MMA, there's a problem with MMA and there's a problem with boxing. Let's go back, right? I love debate, so that's why, I love debate. So realistically speaking, let's go back to boxing. Boxing's been in trouble since '92 that I know of.
Okay.
Because I was a participant in the sport in '92, graduated high school in '93, graduated college in '98.
As far back as '92, you saw the.
As far back as '92, I saw boxing in trouble. Really? Everyone uses, every time I go to a cigar shop, boxing's in trouble. Boxing's in trouble. Boxing. It's been in trouble since '92 that I know of.
Okay.
Okay. So that puts me at 17 years old then. Okay. So boxing's been in trouble since '72, yet it's prevailed. Foreign countries, right? You think of countries like Mexico, or as they say, Mexico, right?
Yep.
Mexico, okay? You think countries that, dare I say, like Vladimir Lomachenko, coming from putting another country on the map boxing-wise. I think it's one of those spheres, like cigars, that if you're in the know, you're in the know. And from a super fight perspective and a fan perspective, real fans, I don't think would want to see this happen of either sport, because I think it's going to tarnish both sports. And I also think, win or lose, it's the end of the road for Conor McGregor, not Floyd Mayweather. And I actually think Conor McGregor has more to lose than Floyd Mayweather. And I can tell you why if you want to spend time on that. This is your birthday segment.
We stand divided. I want to hear it.
This is your birthday segment,
I want to hear it.
right? I don't want to, you can be the host of this segment if you want. We can switch chairs, right?
All good.
But no, it's one of those things where I think, this is a non-sanctioned fight. Win or lose, it's going to be under boxing rules. I love it when people in cigar shops say, well, Conor's going to slip and throw a punch. He's not going to slip and throw a punch. It's called discipline. People should actually try it sometime in the world. It's a great thing, okay? Having done both, in the ring, octagon, there is a complete difference, dynamic-wise, of the fight between traditional MMA and boxing. Complete psyche, mental, there you go. Okay? But I think that Conor, win or lose, we're done with Conor McGregor, which I think is bad for the UFC. Okay? Because Conor hasn't really proved himself in the UFC yet. And the reason why he hasn't proved himself in the UFC yet is because he took down Jose Aldo. This is when he put himself on the map, let's be honest, right? He put himself on the map. Jose Aldo defended his title for 10 years. Defended his title for 10 years. And I know Dan from Christoph is turning once he sees this show, right? And if this was a call-in show, he'd be calling in and arguing this point. But here's the point, right? Conor he defeated Jose Aldo, but Jose Aldo defended his title for 10 years in a row. And then Jose Aldo got taken out in 13 seconds, but Conor took a punch. Why don't you write that down on a little side note? Conor took Jose Aldo's punch before he took him out in 13 seconds. Here's the dynamic of the fight. Conor wins. Conor gets a payday. He's done boxing. He might get into boxing.
That's
but
possible.
not for nothing. Boxing doesn't need another 150-pounder.
Boxing needs an absolute infusion of life. Boxing's
all
dead.
the sports need an infusion of life because this is my argument with this, right? Now, because of the MMA realm, MMA quotes, right?
Yep.
Before, when MMA came out, you had a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist against whatever his or her craft was. You had Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu against Judo. You had Western boxing versus Judo. You had Brazilian, whatever it was. You were a master of your craft, which is in the fight game is called your bread and butter, right? And so if you were losing a fight, you went back to your bread and butter.
Always.
Okay, but now the MMA fighters are so watered down, they're learning MMA. They're not a master of whatever. You know, he's a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Well, before you put black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So now the ground game might not be as powerful for ABC fighter.
I disagree. I feel
okay, that's awesome. That's why that's great.
Much better product all around. I don't feel the the true diehard boxing fans as we were. Mm-hmm. You still are. I don't feel those fans are reaching over, still continuing to pay top dollar for those pay-per-view events. Whereas, the MMA world, it's alive and well, thriving. The gates are still through the roof, mm-hmm. and I'm a super fan of the MMA. Watched every fight, every event, all the way through top to bottom. I feel it's in all weight classes deep, but I might be the minority too. I'm on the extreme side, so with that. That middle ground, we're both on the extreme for each of the sport. But at the end of the day, it's good pub for both sports.
Sure.
On the map. That's, the winner is boxing and MMA together.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's, we're completely divided,
Any
but
predictions?
it's cool.
Before we get to the birthday sticks, which is the point of this segment.
Well, Mayweather doesn't knock anybody out. It's going to be a Mayweather decision. And whatever it is, 10 rounds or 15, whatever.
Maybe 12.
12.
Can't fight 15 since 1992.
Okay.
By law.
It's going to be a Mayweather decision. Or Mayweather catches a quick shot, first round. And when he's dry, that's it. That's where I'm at.
Wow. It's amazing.
I don't see it. It's not going to be a highly contested contest back and forth. It's going to be typical long, boring fight, Mayweather style. It's going to get the decision, or McGregor strikes gold, the Irish gold, and lands one lucky shot.
No, you got to make a prediction. You got to pick a side. You got to pick a side.
I'm waffling. I go Mayweather decision.
You go Mayweather decision. Okay, great.
Yep.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Wow. Okay. Again, totally disagree. Totally disagree.
Okay.
Reason why, I'll just give it to you in 2 segments so we can get to the point of this segment, right?
Yep.
Reason why, 12-ounce or 10-ounce gloves, doesn't matter. Way different than 4-ounce glove. Conor McGregor can take punches with 4-ounce glove, has done it tremendously.
Yep.
The only time Conor McGregor has ever been challenged was when he was using his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in all of his fights. All of his stand-up has been just short of phenomenal.
Agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
So there's only time he's been challenged is 3 times, right? All ground, which is why when he fought Nate Diaz second time, would not go to the ground.
My favorite fighter, by the way.
Right. Mine too. We agree on something,
Nice.
right? We agree on something.
Making progress.
Right, I'm in a shop and they're like, "Oh, well, what do you think if Nate Diaz fought Floyd Mayweather? Different fight, different argument." Different argument.
Diaz is a classically trained boxer.
I think Floyd
with the
Mayweather. I'll
appreciation.
go on record.
Yeah.
I think Floyd Mayweather cannot beat Conor McGregor. I think Floyd Mayweather can beat Nate Diaz. And you know why? It's only got one reason. The psyche. The psyche of both.
Nate Diaz is stubborn, and he will want to stand and
Floyd is a smart fighter. I don't want to take anything away from Floyd Mayweather. Even though most of his fights should be sponsored by Saucony because he runs away.
Yeah, he does.
He's defensive, right? Anyway, right? However, realistically speaking, I think Conor can take Floyd. I don't think Nate Diaz can take Floyd. I go Conor McGregor. Not decision.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yes.
And believe me, I've been in 3 different cigar shops, and I have been told crazy. I have been told ludicrous. I have been called arrogant. But I have bet Davidoffs in every one.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Every
Beautiful.
one. I says, are you want to do it? Well, I'm on to smoke a Davidoff or an Opus X.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing less. That's the way it goes. So I'm either going to be collecting or I'll be paying out over in the cigars. But that's my digress.
Beautiful thing.
Now, if we were able to smoke inside and it was your birthday, what would you use for a birthday cigar? Which is the point of this podcast.
Right. Said it before, I'll say it again. The Byron 19 is my absolute Oasis cigar. Be all, end all. Wasn't able to get my hands on any today. Was able to smoke the Byron Reserva. Tres Años. Great stick. Does not measure up to the 19, but it was still delicious. Still a win. I just racking my brain all day. What I had on hand, trying to formulate the.
Well, what are you doing for your birthday after this show? What are you doing before stick?
I don't know. We're gonna get into the phone and see where everybody is, but I'm certainly gonna be bouncing around shop to shop and
some good sticks and Paul's humidor. You might want to.
All right.
You might want to take a gander in there.
My father's LeBijou 1922, personal favorite of mine. The Rose of Sharon, absolute favorite as well. And I was gifted a Padron 45.
Yep.
This morning from Joyles, which I have yet to smoke. I haven't tried that yet. And,
You haven't?
I haven't.
After this show, you owe it to yourself. That would be like if we were doing birthday cigars.
Yep.
Padron 45, amazing. I would go Opus X, amazing. The Byron, amazing stick.
Yep.
Those La Aurora, Tubo, Preferido,
Right.
Those are amazing. You know what I mean?
If you afforded the time and the luxury, you happen. Today I'm totally off of work.
Right.
I'm gonna get into it. Yeah, we're gonna get loose.
Yeah, we are.
Plenty of sticks,
we have
plenty of
some
drinks.
guests coming up, and
Beautiful thing.
And after the show, we have some people coming for your birthday. It's gonna be a good time.
Nice.
But then I would also most likely go, Davidoff. See, I'm not big on like the birthday celebratory thing. If I get my hands on a good cigar, today's the day.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what I mean? But so for me to compile a list. But if I had to compile a list and say, today's my birthday, this is when I'm going.
Would that Don Carlos sneak in there? That Fuente?
I'm sorry, the Don Carlos.
Arturo Fuente. That creep in. Maybe is that morning.
Nah.
Morning off. No.
No, it's a great cigar. I don't want to take anything of it there. But birthday. Birthday. There's so many great sticks out there.
There really is. That was the point for me. I was really going through, cracking open, a couple of humidors and see what I had, and it's tough. It's really tough to narrow down. There's just not enough time. You can't whack down 12 sticks in a day. There's only so much smoking time. So.
Yep. Speaking of this, the Potagus Heteridge. What do you think?
It's a win.
This reminds
Really
me.
tasty.
This stick reminds me of if we were at a plantation, hanging out, and having a day smoke and just chilling. Like, and that's one of the things I like about some of the cigars. If you watch Stogie Geeks every week, some cigars I'm quiet and I just enjoy.
You get lost in it.
I get lost in it.
Yep.
I could really get lost in this cigar. Like it's so good, and it pairs exceptionally well with this Thomas 2 single barrel. You like it?
Yes, I do.
Happy birthday!
Thanks, brother.
Yes. When we come back, Stogies of the Week. Stay tuned.